Hello friends, Dan back again. Now today we're going to continue this kind of mini-series I've been doing on my channel lately, focusing on downloading games from the internet and playing them using flash carts on your original hardware. Now today we're going to go way back in the day and focus on one of the granddaddies of the video games industry, the original Nintendo Entertainment System from back in the mid-80s. So if you've got one of these, you'll know, if you ever look on eBay, the prices of Nintendo cartridges have gone through the roof recently. I'd say it's probably one of the most collectible consoles for original games at the moment, with some of the original high quality cartridges going for like anywhere from £50 to like £100 here in the UK. The prices are ridiculous right now. But maybe you're not really a collector, you don't care about having them all on the shelf in your games room. All you want to do is relive your childhood maybe, or just play some of the games you never got a chance of playing, or even play some of the more collectible rare games that you'd never be able to afford or track down in a million years buying the originals. So this is where a flash cart comes in particular an Everdrive. Now I've covered various Everdrives for other cartridge-based systems on my channel over the last year or two, so you can check out the channel history if you're interested in seeing those. But today we're going to look at this one for the NES. Now what it basically is a piece of custom hardware that's contained in the shell of an original Nintendo cartridge, and it uses a flash cart at the top here to load games off the internet and play them on your original hardware. Now I'll have a little bit of a closer look at it in a moment, but first of all I want to say a quick shout to my good friends at retrotowers.co.uk. Now if you're not familiar with Retro Towers, they are a UK based retailer based in Hertfordshire here in the UK, and these guys are so friendly. They stock pretty much everything you could need for your retro hardware needs, including lots of Everdrives for various types of systems. I'd recommend you check out their website, do some great deals as well at retrotowers.co.uk. And here she is in all her glory, the Everdrive N8 cartridge. Now, mine, as you can see, looks like a professional product. You know, we've got this nice glossy label here. It's in a nice clean cartridge shell, and it looks like something you could have bought off the shelves in a shop back in, 1988. The difference is, this is actually a reconditioned NES shell. So if you look on the back of it, you can see there we've got the copyright information, copyright Nintendo 1985. This cartridge shell that we've got here was actually taken off an old NES game from 1985. And what Retro Towers do, they actually get the bare motherboards of the Everdrive, and they will put it into this nicely finished product for you. So they'll basically disassemble an old game, take out the old motherboard for the game, put the Everdrive in there for you. They'll give it this nice finished glossy label on here to make it look really professional, and also they'll cut out a hole on the top there for the insertion of an SD card. As if you look on the logo here at the bottom, you see the name Krikzz, Krikkzz. Now, if you've ever researched Everdrives in any way, shape or form before, you'll see his name all over the place. Basically, Krikzz is the guy that manufactures all of the Everdrive cartridges. And he's an individual, I believe. It's not a company. He makes all of these at home in Eastern Europe. And they're all made to a really high standard. He tests every single one as well, so you know that it's going to be a really high quality product. And then third-party resellers such as Retro Towers will, do these finished packs with the glossy label and also in a finished cartridge shell as well. So that's basically what it is. I mean, inside here you've got a motherboard with a bit of RAM on here, and what happens is when you insert this into an NES, it will load up a custom bootloader, and then it will look for an SD card, and it will then give you a directory listing that you can go through, and also a list of all the ROMs that you've downloaded onto the SD card. Then you select one of those, and it will then load it into the memory of the cartridge, and it will fool the NES into thinking it's an original game for the system. So that's basically how it works, and this actually supports a variety of formats. If you ever have a little look around for torrents on the internet, you can often find entire ROM sets for the NES that are really small. I think there's something like 300 to 600 megabytes, and the Everdrive itself actually supports SD and SDHC cards up to 32 gigabytes, which is definitely overkill for a complete NES ROM collection. But the good thing about it is possible to use the same SD card on a variety of systems. Like on this one here, it's my Nintendo one, so I've got not only my Super Nintendo ROMs, my N64, but also my Everdrive collection on here too. So you can have all of those and just basically unplug it and swap the SD card between various Everdrives. And also some good features about the Everdrive N8. It will support Game Genie codes as well, so if you want to cheat through your games, you can do. It automatically backs up saves to the SD card as well, so there's no need to push reset before shutting down the system. And it's got mapper support. It also works with the NES, the European one, and the Famicom, if you've got an NES to Famicom adapter. And if you've actually got a modified NES, it will support expansion audio too. So there's some really nice features about it. So what we'll do now, I'll show you how to download and set up the software. It's really straightforward, and then we'll give it a little demo on the Nintendo. Okay, now the website you need to go to get the software to power your Everdrive is the same as in all my previous Everdrive videos, KRIKZZ, and yes, we do say Z here in England, not Z, before I get the YouTube comments, Crix.com, and if you go on here, the landing page will basically give you a selection of all of the various Everdrive carts that Crix actually produces. So the one we want for this video is obviously the one that looks like a NES cartridge. Click into the Everdrive N8, and in there you'll find a few tech specs and various stuff about the cartridge if you're interested in how it works and the various things it supports. The section we're interested in, though, is the downloads section on here. So click into there, and then you'll want to click on OS Update to get the operating system to load your games, basically. Now, at the time of recording this video, in July of 2014, the latest version is NES OS V11. But obviously always get the highest number on here. So we'll click on that, and that will download a zip file to my desktop. Really small, as you can see, it doesn't take long at all. Then if I open that in WinRAR, all we need to do is extract that to the SD card that I'm going to be using in my Everdrive cartridge with my game ROMs. Now what I'm basically doing now is extracting all of the bootloaders and the directories that it needs to work on your NES, basically. Now this doesn't take too long, it's quite a small archive, as I mentioned. And all you need to do after this is get a few game ROMs onto your SD card. Now, in this video, I won't detail exactly where to find them, but I'm sure if you go into Google and you do a quick search for NES ROMs, it won't take you too long at all to find a few games to play. So, for an example, I'm going to drag and drop one I've already downloaded. Here we go, we've got Super Mario Bros. 3. As a demo. Obviously what you'll probably want to do to get this set up nicely is create different directories with each letter of the alphabet. That'll keep it all nice and tidy, as I believe you've actually got a limit on how many pages you can display on the Everdrive. I think it's a limitation of 12 if I remember correctly, so you probably want to have like A to Z in here and then just put in all of your various ROMs into different categories. So what we'll do now, this is basically ready to go. We need to transplant the SD card into the Everdrive, and then we'll get our game on. Alright, now I've got my Nintendo Entertainment System set up temporarily in my little 80s retro corner here, next to my trusty Commodore 64, and I've got it hooked up to a Philips CM88332 14-inch CRT monitor, because as we know, proper old school gamers would never play a Nintendo on a flat screen TV. Not the done thing. So we've got the Everdrive N8 here and the SD card that we prepared. So literally all we do is we pop the SD card in the top of the cartridge and then insert that into the NES like any other cartridge. Give it a good firm push in, make sure it connects, turn it on, and hopefully we'll get the bootloader now. And there we are. So this is a screen that you'll be greeted with from the Everdrive. Ignore the EDFC directory, that's the firmware that we downloaded before. Then you literally use your joypad, go down, and just select the game that you want. When you find it, press start. And it's quite quick, it only takes about 4 to 8 seconds maximum depending on the game. And as you can see, we've got Super Mario Bros. 3 as you remember it when you were a kid. And it's worth noting at this point, I mean it's probably pretty self-explanatory, but you know, this is not emulation. It is literally loading the original game code into the memory of the NES. So as far as it's concerned, it's playing the original Super Mario Bros. 3 cartridge. As you can tell by the fact that I'm probably just as awful at this game as I always was, so never been the best at Mario. But yeah, that is literally all there is to it, really. It's dead straightforward. If you want to find any more information, check the links that will be in the video description, and my blog at kookytech.net. And join us on Facebook at facebook.com/kookytech, and I will see you in the next video.